Well, then it's me that's talking to you, a person with an age and an experience. You that are listening to me, who look for a reason, an aim, and a motive in my words. You that are seeing me will try to identify a move that betrays a particular element or an identity in my presence. You will try to perceive a person. So it's my voice that's talking to you, a voice with a timbre and a compass, like all voices. But I could also keep silent, or speak quietly to myself, and fall into a whisper. You, on the other hand, might not believe my words, and feel as though someone else is there talking instead of me. It's like this. Speakers' intentions are never listeners' ones. Is it necessary to explain my presence? As far as I'm concerned, it's absurd to explain a presence. But try listening to me. You must attempt to draw out different voices. It's as if, in trying to grasp a restless thought, a lost landscape is sucked up in an explosion. I shut my eyes and my ears. I held my breath. For a short while. The explosion happened inside me. But then I wonder, what about those forms out there, those objects, those calls? There was a loud noise of shouting all around. Everything looked congested. A noise of shattered glass, or so it seemed to me. But I held out, fearlessly. Several times I happen to walk amidst this landscape among different generations, and to overhear people who don't want to talk about themselves, because in reality they are not yet able to understand where to begin. I think we need a new grammar of the emotions. We live as we dream, in solitude, perhaps lacking the possibility of giving others the emotion of a moment which regards ourselves. However, we all have to really think that we are plural, and that we gradually become something that wasn't there before, a person who didn't exist before, but one makes oneself heard because one constructs oneself together with other people's voices and presences. The other that I am, the outside that belongs to me, because we are all involved. I know I could be very happy if the pretense that I'm working out were useful in giving a new sense to identity. It's difficult. I don't want to offer all of this as an accomplished fact, because being several people is never an accomplished fact. So I tell myself, don't think of a fixed identity, but think, rather, of anyone who is searching one's own existence for a path without prejudice, without set limits. In general, I know our speeches have several intentions. The will to guide a series of courses, to condition meaning, in one word, to intervene. Most times we intervene in order to cut out or to limit something. That's because we are afraid of losing a certain reassuring sense of property. But, for example, even if you take a sentence, there are several directions that cross each other. The further you go, the more you open to the outside. I discover I am several external elements actually moving. I might say adrift. But this bewilderment should not really be seen as a loss. Indeed, you should, rather, try to push this condition to its extreme. Whoever I may be, whatever gender I may belong to, doesn't prevent me from wishing I were another one. And this not as escape route, but so as to burden myself with the experience of modification. We have wished, once to say the least, to lead several lives, to be able to change places and languages, to be able to think in a foreign tongue, to be elsewhere ever more often. We perceived we were in a desert and in a cage. Sometimes we turned against ourselves, wanting to cut off our head, arms and legs, and jumble ourselves up into pieces until we changed so much so as not to reply when called by name. We ran through crowded streets, driven by an imaginary wind. I'm not what you see, and at the same time I am, notwithstanding everything. We too have called people who didn't exist, but who, at the same time, were actually in front of us. I didn't know if they were just my invention, or something else that those same people made me see, because on the other hand you believe, perforce, in that which you see. However, I have always thought that there is a split level, a breach that reveals something else, like a fold, from which another breath emerges, another expression that creeps onto the well-known features and irreparably modifies them from the inside. This is what we must see, because this different resounds in ourselves, as in a dubbing. It's a sound scene that makes us say, I'm this identity, and this other. I'm here and elsewhere. I belong to myself, and I expel myself. That's why I said, well then, it's me that's talking to you. I now think that I can add, in a crowd of voices, that to be understood, have necessarily limited themselves in your voice that has already spoken, and in mine that is speaking now. I'm waiting for the other voice to redefine me in a relationship that adds yet another presence to the things that exist. This voice of mine covers me just like a skin. It's a sound layer, and I'm listening to it carefully while it's speaking to me. I'm hearing it, just as you are hearing it right now, and it is carried on the lineaments of my body, which I didn't yet know of. It is, at last, the space of an altered thought that makes you find your body again, modified in sounds,